Hey there, welcome back to Remnant. We are taking a look at the gift of the Unbound. Again, actually, because I've done a video for it before, except now it is truly Unbound. It was way better. Even just on paper, I was immediately like, oh, I can use this now. So in the past, when you used it, it would decrease your maximum health, because what the ring typically does is disable the negative effects of your burden rings, but it came at the cost of your health. So now, instead, you don't lose health, you actually get more movement speed, which is really nice. When I was messing around with it a little bit yesterday, I liked having that extra movement speed, because movement speed is kind of low-key, like a subtle trait, stat, whatever you want to call it, that can do a lot of work for you, and I do really like it, even if I don't normally put any points towards it or anything like that. But it's very solid now. Now, it can only go up to a 20% bonus for that speed, so that basically means you have 4 burden rings on. And I do think that to really get the mileage out of the ring, or out of the amulet, you need to be using at least 2 burden rings. If you're only using 1 burden, like, I don't know why you would use the amulet. Like, you definitely need 2. I think 3 is good, or 4, obviously, at least 2. Now, it's kind of hard to like quantify how much the amulet does, because it's not like it's not like putting on, the Anka power and it's like, I'm just doing 15% more power, because it doesn't directly do anything. And even then, I can't even look at it and say like, oh, well, because I'm using this, I've got the burden of the destroyer and the burden of the departed, which is giving me 25% more damage. So like, because I've got that, this amulet is basically giving me more damage, but it's actually not. Because regardless of whether you wear this amulet, if you're wearing these 2 rings, you're getting 25% more damage. So really, the benefit of the amulet is, 1, the movement speed, and then 2, whatever the negative effects would be. So, for example, the destroyer is the range of your firearms. So you're getting extra range for your firearms, extra. 35% more. We've still got relic charges. And we can still get weak spot hits while getting that enhanced critical hit chance and damage. So depending on, the rings that you have on, that's really what you're getting out of it. So it's just kind of weird to feel it out. Is it necessarily like super optimal when you compare it to maybe some like better builds, especially in like Apocalypse? Maybe not. You can still win and stuff, right? There's lots of things you can do that are like viable. It's just not maybe the most optimized, right? And then of course on your low difficulties, you have a lot more freedom to just kind of do whatever you want, because it's, you're free to do what you want, to have fun. No, thank you, kitty. Now, because of what I'm doing here, this is basically a kind of like ranged damage, ranged crit chance and damage build, because like I said, I've got Burden of the Destroyer, which is just damage. I've got Burden of the Departed, which is also just damage, and then the Gambler is giving us that crit chance and crit damage. And then for my last one, I put on the probability core, just increasing that crit damage by 20%. And then inside of my relic, got more crit damage, got more range crit chance. So yeah, it's kind of like a build on there. So does it compare to maybe some of your other ones? I don't know, maybe not, but I think it's kind of fun, especially because you get that movement speed and you're doing the process in a different way. Now, for my archetypes, I'm going to run Hunter as my primary, because, I'm doing a bit of a ranged focus and the Hunter's Mark got a change. Let me pull up the patch notes so I can make sure I've got some of these changes right when I go to say what they are. All right, so it wasn't a direct bonus or a change to the Yeah, it was a change to the Hunter's Mark. I think it's the Hunter's Mark in general, right? Because when you activate this, it marks nearby enemies. So they changed it so that now that critical chance bonus is down from 15% to 10%. So that's regardless of whether it's this Hunter's Mark skill, the Hunter's Focus, because all of these can apply the mark effect, which is going to be 10% now instead of 15%. So it is a kind of, I think, a slight nerf, right? Which makes sense. But again, it's all to kind of bring it in line, especially in a team setting. Like, that's a pretty big bonus for your overall team. Makes sense. And then for our secondary, we have the Handler. I just like the Handler. Plus, it's more 30% ranged melee and skill damage. Increased crit chance whenever you've got your companion nearby. So I like all of those benefits. Plus we get the Spirit of the Wolf, which is more movement speed. So we are going to be sitting at 25% movement speed, which is, honestly, I like it. We're cruising along pretty well. Now, I thought the max movement speed was a lot lower, not necessarily lower than 25, but I thought it was only between somewhere around 25% or maybe 50% at the max. A note I said in there, if I'm reading it right, says you can go up to 200%. I was pushing like 100% earlier, and you are flying. If you haven't tried it, you should do some movement speed stuff. Now, after that, my armor. I've got Dendroid mask on, the body plate and leggings for the technician, and the Dendroid grips. The way I did this was just for fashion, not for any kind of like weight management or anything like that. The combo is actually still a heavy load. With 1 point of strong back, it puts us at a medium. Basically, I chose it because my guns are Narud guns, or guns from Narud with root mods in there, so I wanted to get that same kind of aesthetic going on with my armor. The Tranquil Heart is going to be my relic choice because it was a gift of the Unbound coming from Nemue. I also wanted to use a thing from Nemue. So it's got health, we've got range crit damage, range crit chance, right? I guess if I was going to go with like stuff from Nemue, maybe I should have done a phase setup. The gun is the pulse rifle, which I can't read the name because the line is too big. I really like the pulse rifle. I think it's a lot of fun. They changed it too, so its recoil is less horizontal and more vertical. And with max out handling, this thing shoots super smooth. I put in defrag because I never use that mod at all. So it can give me some potential for range, like AoE type stuff. And it can also increase my damage. It's okay. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Momentum is going to be the mutator of choice because it does stuff for critical hits. It does stuff for critical damage, right? It goes up to 10 stacks. It's just really good. I'm trying out Smolder again. That one does more burning damage. It does a lot more. And with Stormbringer is my status effect, I can lower the resistances. So it's like pretty burly. And then Rupture Cannon, because this one also got changed. They, let's see, what did they change? Increased ideal range from 13 to 14 meters, reduced the fire rate just a tiny bit, like a quarter of one, reduced recoil per shot, reduced spread when not moving, increases spread slightly when moving, significantly increased the reload speed. I did feel that reload speed, actually. They wanted to make it stand up in a sea of incredible handguns. They wanted to increase the range, better bonus, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so overall, I would say just buffs. Yeah, reduce the fire rate a little bit, but I think that's okay. I don't think there's any problems there. It's Mutator. I've got Sleeper. That got buffed as well, so now it only takes 5 seconds of being stowed to give it that critical chance, and then, you know, you get increased crit damage as well. So it works really well with what we've got going on. The traits that I've got going on, they're all like, a lot are just like my standard. I'm playing on Apocalypse, right? So we've got maxed out Triage, Fortify, Regrowth, Vigor. I did max out Expertise because I'm using more of my skills. Not so much Spirit because I don't really care so much for my mods. Handling as well because I want that smooth vertical firing from the Pulse Rifle. Then because I have the dog, I maxed out Blood Bond as well as Rugged, even though the dog is just baseline tankier now. We're just going to make him really tanky, especially because we now have on the Guard Dog skill, which is, again, just making him more durable. It's really nice. A few points in endurance, putting it at 5, and 5 points in recovery, just to give us some nice quality of life stamina stuff. It's what I like. And then I put 1 random point into strong back so that I'm at a medium roll. I said maxed out regrowth earlier. That's not true. It's actually at 9. Normally I would max it out, but I lost 1 point to put it into strong back. And then for my concoction, I'm just going to put on maximum health because I don't feel like thinking about it. And we are going to go ahead and give this a go. I was basically using the setup yesterday. I mean, it was functioning fine. Nothing fancy, right? It's all baseline, just gunplay. And I mean, it works because it's just increased damage and stuff. And we're doing my campaign because I have adventure mode right now, doing DLC things, and I don't want to do that at the moment. I guess I was fighting the Ravager, so we're just going to open right up with a fight in the Ravager and see how it goes. Also, my mod in the Rupture Cannon is the Rotted Arrow, which got changed to do less AoE damage and is now like a single target type thing. Unfortunately, when I kind of tried it, I didn't feel like its damage was very high. So, you know, I'm not sure. Not sure how I feel about it so far. I'm not running, brother. I'm getting in a better spot to shoot you in your nasty pustule. Hunter's Mark, boom. Bad thing is with defrag, it's just not going to do anything here, right? Because, oh, that was way early in my dodge. 1, 2, let's get him with that fire. Look at that DPS from that fire. It's pushing 100 damage, which is great considering we're not spec'd into anything along those lines, right? I mean, each of these bursts is doing probably close to like 1,500 damage, right? Since we've got, you know, it's like nearly 500 on every single bullet. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, we're pushing 500 once we get that, the full stacks of our momentum. And our Hunter's Mark is just staying nice and active because, of course, the Ravager just has an easy spot to hit. Now we're gonna go to this. Can I blow them up like that? Now we can go here. Look at those solid hits from the Rupture Cannon. It's doing pretty good. Roll forward through there. Yeah, so I mean, you can see it does see pretty reasonable damage. It's not quite doing some crazy, you know, nightmare gun, like kind of, you know, crazy hugs build with like that unlimited mod from the finger gun. So, oh, I got caught by an explosion. I messed up the first dodge and then something popped. That was a bummer. Oh, that's what popped. I shot him with a mod and it staggered myself. I did that to myself. Bummer. Alright, so dog's not really taking aggro. So honestly, with the boss, what I should probably do is make it so he's doing more damage and his skill gives us more damage. That's probably the way to go here. 1, 2, I messed it up. Alright, now what we will do is activate the defrag now. Because, there we go. Run away. I need to get away from him if I can. Let's use this. I wasn't paying attention to what he had going on. Elemental and Hardy. Playing really sloppy. I kind of just got home and just started playing. So maybe I should have warmed up first before fighting this guy. Alright, got the attack dog buff now. Let's see how it goes. Oh yeah, that's a bit more damage, right? So now we're pushing a little over. It's not like a ton more, but it turns into like 60 or something more with each burst. Because we go from like 490 to like 510. So yeah, like a 20 damage increase or something, huh? We'll definitely save the defrag for the minions, right? I gotta actually try to win here, because I've died a few times now, and there's really no reason for me to be losing like that. Dodging way early, dude. But look how smooth the recoil is on the pulse rifle. With a little bit of like, a little bit of that recoil handling stuff. Like, it's so nice. I like it so much. Let's collect some of these. 1, 2. Yeah, I keep him in there. I've got the extra damage boost now thanks to that. Oh, 540. Look at that. I like it. I like that. That's a pretty good damage boost. I might use defrag a little bit more, because if you can actually get that damage boost from like boss ads, because every boss has some kind of ads at some point, right? So yeah, makes sense. Let's get him with a little bit of fire. Get that cooking. Ooh, he does have the elemental resistance, so that 98 should be bigger actually. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, right? Get some damage bonus here. Roll out of that. Oh, I lost it. Boom. Reload. Still a bug left. A roller. Oop. Oop. There we are. Let's get it reloaded because I want to. Oh no, doggy. Come back to me, dog. No. No. It's not fair. He doesn't know any better. He doesn't know any better to not go in there. Come on. Alright, we're getting there now. I don't feel like the build is bad. This dude is just a little sturdy. Oh, you know, it's probably the Hardy. I didn't even think about him because he has a Hardy freaking affix on him. So yeah, of course he's a little sturdy. He just takes more because he's literally has more health. So yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that. I need to get out of there. Get out of there, dog. Get out of there. He's probably gonna... Whoop. Yep, there he goes. There's that little bounce. Get to us, dog. Get to us, dog. Roll, run, run. This is where that movement speed is coming into play here, right? Because he comes in and he wants to sit there and howl. And we can easily run away. Go ahead. Do it again. Yep, see? He wants to do it again. Get it all reloaded. Alright, so we've got it in the bag now. All we have to do is roll this and then run away whenever he goes to howl. Which should be any moment now. Yep. Just like that. Yeah, no problem. We're done here. I'm like talking here like I got it in the bag, and then what do? I start messing up. There we go. Yeah, we did it. Hooray for us. Alright, yeah, so yeah. Build can work for a boss. It took me a few tries there. I'm blaming that more on me, like, just not playing very well right now, unless that the build doesn't work, because the damage is solid. And obviously, you take it to a lower difficulty, you're not going to have any problems there, right? Because they're just easier. Ah, I forgot the labyrinths. I'm going to have to do the labyrinths. One thing that's kind of nice about the Gift of the Unbound is the fact that it's not actually like for any one build, right? It's not like the say the Sinister Totem, because I've been messing around with that one. Sinister Totem is only for status effect damage, right? That's what it does. That's what it increases. So that's the only time you're really going to want to use that, is when you're doing a lot of status effects and you want them to do more damage over time. This one doesn't have that stipulation. It's just the burden rings. So depending on what burden rings you want to take, that's going to affect what type of build you can do. So like I just took raw damage and crit right here, specifically because I have the burden of a gambler. But you could roll with, like, you know, take the, what's it called? I can't think of any of the words right now. Burden of the Warlock and Burden of the Follower, right? And those are all mod things. Like this one reduces mod power requirements. Burden of the Follower increases mod power generation. So then you could start leaning it more into some mod power stuff, and then you could still run like Burden of the Audacious and like have that give you, or not Burden of the Audacious, I'm sorry, Burden of the Destroyer, to give you just the raw damage, and then you've got some stuff going on. Do a skill thing, right? Burden of the Silas. That could work, because like we've got skill stuff going on, right? We're using the dog. Maybe we did like the run this was like the summoner and handler, and then, or like Archon, right? And then we've got some like mod power stuff with skill and mod power damage, so that we're just doing more damage across there. Or, you know, skill cooldowns, because this one also does skill cooldowns. So you could get a 30% skill cooldown for no loss, and you have 10% more movement speed. The Burden of the Mesmer is a new one. Increase all your damage by 1% for every 5% of your total damage reduction. So, I mean, you crank this up really high, you know, you could end up with a solid amount of, like, nice little bit of damage. Even with Burden of the Divine, reduce your damage. Not a problem anymore. So now I like the idea of doing that with Burden of the Audacious, because now you don't have any problems with your healing getting reduced, and you get the nice heals from perfect dodges. But then because you're sharing them with Burden of the Divine, every dodge you do is going to heal your teammates and you. Like, that sounds pretty fun, honestly. Like, I don't know, that I like that there's other like variations of like what you could do with the Gift of the Unbound, depending on whatever ring you wanted to run, right? And I mean, right, little guys, oh no, hit him in the eyeball, he's gone. I mean, that's anytime you deal with a little like trash enemies, it doesn't matter what zone it is, just some okay gunplay, it's going to take you along the way so that you don't have any problems at all. Where's that elite at? Oh, there he is. Hey, friend. What you got for me? What? Oh, it's way too early. Oh, I'm all over the place right now. I mean, we're chunking him down pretty easily, right? I mean, that was solid damage, and I miss all the actual openings to deal damage. Oh, he's shooting at the dog now. See, that's what I wanted some of the enemies doing earlier, is have them shoot the dog so I could just sit there and DPS them. Yeah, there it is. That's the build. Does it work? Yeah. Is Gift of the Unbound fun now? Yes, it is fun, because it's not it's actually worth using now. It's not a big burden to wear, because you're losing half of your health for having 2 different burden rings on. Hey, yeah, that is pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a go. Let me know if you've done some other like setups with it so far, ideas and what you want to do with it. That was a bad perfect dodge. Yeah, I could see some really fun things going on here with the whole thing. But thanks for checking out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give you some things to think about, try out, all of the good things. And until the next one, take care.